Hello and welcome to this webinar on A Christmas Carol. We're looking at the 4 ghosts in quotations. And by the end of this webinar, you'll understand their character, link the quotations to key themes, and analyze the quotations with subject terminology. The first ghost after Marley that's introduced is the ghost of Christmas past. And for Dickens, the function of the ghost is very clear. The ghost has a softening effect on Scrooge. He was frozen and cold, and this ghost begins to melt and thaw the heart of Scrooge. The ghost says to Scrooge, "Would you, Scrooge, so soon put out the light I give?" If you remember, the ghost's face is changing all the time, but his hair is a fire, a flame, and the hat is like an extinguisher. So the light is also obviously physical. It leads them as they zoom into the past, but the light is also metaphorical. It's this enlightenment, showing Scrooge what he was as a young boy, his isolation, as a young man, his ambition, as an older person, the wrong choices that he made. It's really enlightening him about his life choices and where he went wrong and how he could make amends. And then it says, as Scrooge flew with the ghost of Christmas past, Scrooge was conscious of 1,000 odours floating in the air, each one connected with 1,000 thoughts and hopes and joys long forgotten. It's that idea of reminiscence. It's that reawakening the longings. As I said, the thawing of him. He used to be a man with hope and desire and all of that joy and freedom, and he'd forgotten what it was like, and that ghost reminded him. And then the ghost said, ironically, when he went back to the workplace where he trained as an apprentice with Fezziwig, he says, "A small matter to make these folks so full of gratitude." So a small matter. So we have that diminutive adjective, small, and then that word, that abstract noun, gratitude. And so you can see he's being ironic and saying, "Oh, isn't it pathetic that Fezziwig tried to make you all happy?" But because of the softening effect, Scrooge understands the irony. It wasn't a small matter. It was really important that his employer, his role model and boss, really made the effort to think about him at Christmas. And again, this has a softening effect on Scrooge as he starts to realize the error of his own ways. After this is the ghost of Christmas present, and the function of that ghost is really to create a sense of belonging with Scrooge. He's presented and described as a jolly giant who bore a glowing torch with a cheery voice and a joyful air. So all of those adjectives, jolly, cheerful, joyful, interlinked with that verb glowing, suggests that sense of real joy and comfort. His presence is a comfort and reassurance and a sense of hope and joy and indeed belonging. And then when Scrooge questions whether Tiny Tim will die, he takes on a different tone. The ghost of Christmas present says, "Will you decide what men shall live, what men shall die? It may be in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child." So he really reminds Scrooge about his place in the universe. He's not all powerful, despite being intimidating and rich. He doesn't have the power of life and death to make those decisions. And at the end of that chapter, stave 3, he introduces 2 very ragged children, and the ghost of Christmas present says, "They are man's. This boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware, for I see that written, which is doom." The ghost of Christmas presents, despite showing that sense of assurance and reminding Scrooge of his place in the universe, also warns him that if nothing is done, children will bring doom. The final ghost is the most frightening because it represents a sense of judgment. It's shrouded in a deep black garment which concealed its face and its head and its form and left nothing visible except one outstretched hand. So you can see the sense of mystery with everything concealed, that verb, and the sense of black being that symbolic color of mystery. And then it takes him to a place where a pale light rising of the outer air fell straight upon the bed, and on it, plundered, bereft, unwatched, unwept, uncared for was the body of a man. Obviously, ironically, we know that this is Scrooge's body, and the ghost is showing him judgment, the error of his ways. And then Scrooge crept towards it, trembling and following the finger read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. We have the fact that he comes face to face with his own death. If he doesn't change, all he will have is isolation, judgment, and indeed hell. So we can see the function of these ghosts. One is to soften him. Another one is to show a sense of belonging, his place in the universe. The other one is for judgment. I hope this has helped you to understand more. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.